Welcome to episode 17 of the Arctic Crafts podcast. My name is Bente and I'm coming to you from Vesterålen, northern Norway, where I live with my husband and our 3 cats. And one of them is going in the background, and I hope he doesn't do anything stupid like he's capable of, especially when he's balancing in front of my beautiful sign. And before I was so rudely interrupted, I was going to tell you that you can find me on Instagram as Arctic Crafts, on Facebook as Arctic Crafts by Bente, on Etsy as Arctic Crafts by Bente, and on Ravelry as Arctic Crafts 65. Today is rather cold, so I can actually wear something knitted on the podcast without having a personal summer. What I'm wearing is, you've probably all seen a one like this before. It's a boxy. This is the V-neck boxy, and it's by Hohi Locatelli. And the reason why I chose this sweater today is because I have dyed up a sweater quantity of this colorway that's going into the shop on Sunday. I'll talk more about that when I'm going through shop news at the end of the podcast. And let's just start with the knitting. I actually have an FO. It was a hoe, and I decided yesterday that I wanted them finished. So I finished the last sock last night, and it's actually dry. I blocked it yesterday. And it's the Nå Tåkur socks by Marit from Garnbutikken Fortuna. I'll of course link the pattern down below for those of you who understand Norwegian. I suppose I have some Norwegian viewers. The colorway is Himmel og Hav. It's one of my colorways, and the beautiful sock blockers with my logo on them are from Burning Impressions. I got those because I was going to a fair, but I like showing off my yarn on them. And these socks are called Nå Tåkur, and let's just see if it can focus. This camera is driving me crazy. There you go. The Nå Tåkur is in Marit's dialect and means a little bit of everything. And that's a good name for these socks because you have a little bit of everything. I knit them according to pattern, except for one thing. She also has a heel flap and gusset heel in the pattern, but I always knit the 3 first stitches on either side of the heel flap in garter stitch, because I find them so much easier to pick up when I'm going to do the gusset. And I knit these on 2.25 needles and 64 stitches. And one of the socks are a tiny bit bigger than the other one. It's a bit looser, and that's my own fault because I knit the first sock on 9-inch circulars and the second sock on DPNs. And I know I shouldn't do that because I knit a tiny bit looser on DPNs. I know that because I've done this before, but I preferred the DPNs on this pattern, and Marit also prefers DPNs, and you can see that from the pattern. It's so much easier to knit on DPNs. And that's my only FO. I know. I've been dying up a storm the last 2 weeks, so Sunday's update is sort of a big one. And as I said, I'm going to show you the yarn I dyed at the end of the podcast when I do the shop news. So we'll just go on with whips. In this beautiful bag that my friend Sue in Canada made, colors are a bit washed out on the camera, but in here I have a pair of socks that I'm knitting for my Norwegian bestie, Trine. And I thought that she needed a pair of happy socks with lots of bright, beautiful colors. And the colorway looks like this in the ball. I tried to make a gobstopper. You can tell I'm no good at this. Fortunately, I don't dye self-striping, so I don't have to do that. And these colors look better back here. This colorway is from Nicole C. Mendez. I subscribed to her Stripy Sock Club last year, and I haven't renewed my subscription for now because I have a lot of self-striping, so I don't need a lot more self-striping. For the heels and toes, I had 2 small minis from Beehive Yarns in Liverpool, and so I'm planning on doing the heels in this bright yellow and the toes in this salmon color. I just paused to adjust the lights a bit because the socks I was showing you, even though this is really bright colors, and they would blow out, and they still do, but not that much. So probably you can see the colors better now, and you can. And the colorway is, as I was saying, this yarn is from Nicole C. Mendez, and the colorway is Heidi. And this fun progress keeper is from GingerSnapThat. And I really love these socks, and they're really happy socks. And that's those, and I have several pairs of socks on the go as usual, but I'll only show you the ones I'm actually working on. The other pair of socks I'm working on is in this beautiful sugar skull bag from GingerSnap. I love her bags. She has a lot of fun fabrics. And this pair of socks I'm knitting with my own colorway, silver lining. It's a grey with rainbow stripes. And this progress keeper is also from GingerSnapThat, and it says Mischief Managed. It's from a Harry Potter inspired progress keeper set that I bought from her. And this is what the colorway looks like in the cake. And you have to excuse the messy cake because I had to I did the same mistake with these as I did with the other socks. I knit the first sock on a 9-inch circular, and then I started using DPNs on this because I used DPNs for the toe, because you can't use a 9-inch circular until you're done with the increases after the toe, because I'm knitting these toe up. And then I kept going with the DPNs. And I shouldn't have done that because it was much looser than the other one. So I had to rip back the whole thing and start over again with 9-inch circulars. So now I know never to do that again. Those are the socks I'm working on. I'm just checking with my show notes. And I cast on, I had no business doing this. It started with me casting on the I think it's called the Grande double wrap or something. I'll put it down on the screen so you get the right name. It's designed by CozyUp knits, and it's really beautiful. It's 2 colors, and you'll see the picture on the screen. But I started it with 2 colors. That the one of the colors were a bright pink, and the other color was a grayish color with specks of the same pink and a few other colors. And the wrap starts with a stripe pattern, but you couldn't see the stripes. It was just muddy. So the two colors didn't go together in that project. But so I ripped it back, and I decided, okay, I'll use this yarn for something else. And then my neighbor showed me a finished project that she had knitted, and I really loved it. And I thought that this yarn, again, messy cake because I ripped something back. This yarn is from Martin's Lab, and the colorway is Carousel, and it's in their Tough Sock, 75 merino, 25 nylon. And I just started this last night. And the pattern is called Stripa. It's a Norwegian pattern by a lady called Bitta Mikkelborg. She's big in Norway. She has published several books. 2 books, I think, with socks and stockings, and I think I have both of them. And she's also published a book with shawls and scarves, and a book for washcloths or dishcloths. And so, as I'm saying, she's big in Norway. And this shawl, I'll of course put a picture on the screen so you see what the finished product would look like. And the beautiful thing about this shawl is that you knit for a bit until you have the width you want, and then you knit straight on, and then you start decreasing, so it's symmetrical. And because I want to use all the yarn, I'll just knit until I think it's wide enough, and then I'll weigh the ball, and then I figure out how much yarn I need for the decreases. So I'll just knit straight on until I have enough left for the decreases, and then it'll be as big as it is. And that's another whip. I have 2 more, 2 garments. First I'll show you a whip you've seen before, because this is a whip I've been working on for a long time. I bought the yarn last Easter in York, cast it on when we got home, and then it has languished for a bit. That's a word, isn't it? I think that's a word. It's the East Coast Girl by Veera Välimäki, and this is typical of me, actually, because it was great fun to knit the lace, so that went pretty fast. But when I started with the stockinette, and everything is a stockinette, it gets boring, and I have a tendency to just abandon it. To get a bit of variation, I've started one of the sleeves. I'm knitting this to pattern, except for one thing. I have a long torso, so I did waist shaping the decreases on the same place as in the pattern, but I'm going to knit the portion between the decreases and the increases longer to make sure it's long enough. And that's another reason for me starting with the sleeves already, because I actually want to knit the sleeves, both the sleeves, now before I continue with the body, so the body I don't risk to run out of yarn, because I can guarantee you that Beehive Yarns, I forgot to tell you straight away, she probably won't be able to do the exact same color, because this is from the same batch. So she probably still has the color, but not necessarily in the same exact same color. And this, I actually have the yarn tag in here. This is what her tags look like, Beehive Yarns. And the colorway is Rose Salve. And the base is, she calls the base Audrey. And as you can tell, it's a sock yarn. And that's that. And then I started another garment. And this again is a tale of woe, because I started it and I finished the color work on the yoke. but then I had to rip it back because two things. One thing is I started with two colors that were really close because I wanted a subtle color work, but it was too subtle. You could tell that they were color work, but you couldn't see the details. And when I finished the color work and was going to separate for the sleeves, I put in a long cable so I could try it on, and I was swimming in it. It was much too big for me, even though the gauge was spot on. And I like the fabric. I started with a 3.5 millimeter needle, and then I went up to a 4 millimeter needle. And I liked the fabric I got with the 3.5. So I decided if I start it all over again and use the same size in the pattern, but use a 3.5 needle for the whole thing, it will be the correct size, so it would fit me better. And I also changed the color for the color work, and I like this much better. It's the Gardengate by Jennifer Steingass, and because I have a short needle in here, it will be difficult for you to see what the color work looks like, but I'll put up a picture of the finished sweater. And I like this much better. The two colors I'm using is the gray with the speckles in it is from Yarn Ink, and the colorway is Amore. And I'm not showing you the cake because that doesn't look good at all, because I had to, you know, if you rip back an entire yoke, that's quite a lot of yarn. The contrast color I'm using is commercial, cheap commercial Norwegian merino. It's just called Baby Merino, and the colorway is black. So I had two skeins because they had a sale, and this was ridiculously cheap. So I bought 2 balls of each color in a few colors because I was thinking color work. These are 50-gram balls, so I need 2. That 2 of these is about equal to a full skein of hand-dyed fingering. And those are my whips. So that's what I have for knitting. I don't have any show and tell. I haven't got any exciting mail the last week, but I wanted to talk to you about something else. The first week of 2020, me and hubby only had vegetarian food, because during the holidays you eat a lot of junk. So we started the year with a vegetarian week, and I may have mentioned this in the previous episode, but what I wanted to show you today is my inspiration for a lot of the dishes we've had for the last week, the first week of 2020, and it's this book. I love Jamie Oliver, and he is not a vegetarian, but he wants people to eat more healthily, so he published a book called Veg, and it's first of all, it's a beautiful book with beautiful pictures in it, and all the recipes in here look amazing, and some of the ingredients can be difficult to get in the winter, but we made a lot of food from this book, and I just wanted to, if any of you either are vegetarians or want to try a bit of vegetarian food, you can eat a lot of gorgeous food without using any meat. And we intend to do something like a meat-free Monday. Not necessarily on Mondays, but one day a week we'll have a vegetarian dinner and use mostly white meat, because we love chicken, both of us, so we eat a lot of chicken already. And then I'll get off my soapbox. We're not planning on going vegetarian totally, but it's nice having a good cookbook. when you're not vegetarian and haven't made a lot of vegetarian food, inspiration is everything. And I also wanted to talk to you about something else that is happening. I suppose I'm over in shop news now, because I have talked a bit about this before, and it's my yarn club that I'm starting in March, that I'm calling Arctic Seasons, and the first installment, of course, is Arctic Spring. Spring doesn't, March is early, but I'm thinking if I want to send them out once a quarter, I have to start in March. But if I send them at the end of March, they'll arrive around middle of April, and that's more like Arctic Spring, because if I don't care if you have summer in April, because it's Arctic Spring. So we're going by the Arctic seasons. And I've been doing some research, and there's a few hoops I have to jump through to be able to do the things I've planned. Because there are some rules and regulations that prevents me from or prohibits me from buying stuff and then selling it on. So I have to look a bit into that. So the first installment will only be stuff made by me, and that could change. But the first installment will be only made by me, and I'm thinking that I'm going to do it like there's one sock set, and then a single skein that people can choose what base they want it on. If they want a worsted, a DK, or a merino fingering. And all these options are without nylon. So you have the sock set and you have a single skein in a optional base. And of course 2 different colorways for the sock set and the single skein. And exclusive colorways. Colorways that I won't put in the shop, not this year at least. Maybe next year for spring I'll repeat this colorway. And the extras will also be made by me. And the sock sets will be normal sock sets. It's just a 100 gram skein, a full skein with one colorway and a mini that coordinates with it. I'll be putting up sign-ups in the shop sometime next week, and the deadline would be the end of February, because I have to have time to dye up the yarn and let it dry before I pack everything and ship it out. And this first installment I won't make a lot of it, because I'm not sure what the market is like. So I'm starting off with 5. That might sound as a small number, but of course if it sells out in a couple of days, I'll just add on to it. But I'm a small batch dyer, so I can't make unlimited amounts of this yarn. Besides, we're going away at the end of February, and we're going to England for a week. So I have to start dyeing this when we get back from England. So I lose some days at the beginning of March. But it will ship out at the end of March. And that's all the information I can give you at the moment, because it's supposed to be kind of a mystery. So I'll put it into the shop next week, and I'll put a description in the shop. So if you're interested, I'll post an announcement on Instagram when I put this into the shop. And as I was saying, I won't have a lot of what you call it? I won't make a lot of boxes this first time, or at least I won't start with a lot of boxes. So that's it. This was a bit of a ramble, but sorry, I haven't got proper show notes. I haven't written everything down, so I tend to babble a bit. But that's me. So you're supposed to be yourself on these podcasts, aren't you? And this is me. Take it or leave it. And then the only thing remaining, I think, is to show you what what I'm going to put in the shop on Sunday. 8 p.m. is my shop update. I'm doing my shop updates are every other Sunday, and this week is an update week. And I have been dyeing. We have a couple of new colorways. I showed you a few of the colors. I've been dyeing up last podcast. The yarn I dyed up last week, and these are the colors going into the shop. The rest of the colors going into the shop on Sunday. This first one I've had before, so this is not a new colorway, and it's blowing out a bit. If I put it closer to the camera, it's better to see the colors this close to the camera, I think. And of course it won't focus. There, you can see it. And this colorway is called Birthday Cake, and it's just the natural color of the yarn with speckles of pinks, purples, turquoise and chartreuse. And that's one of the colorways, and this is another colorway that I've had before. And this is the correct color showing. This close to the camera, it doesn't blow out. And this colorway is called Glacier. And I'll put up a pair of socks I knit with this colorway. A pair of socks that I knit up as a sample for rhyFlower knits. And those socks were called Winter Wonderland. And I knit those in this colorway. This is a DK. I of course didn't knit the socks in a DK. I knit those in my Polldale sock yarn. But this is the same colorway on Merino DK. I forgot to say, this is my Polldale sock. And that's those two. And then I have this colorway. It's called Mauve Madness. And this is a colorway that will make a nice spiral up the sock if you knit socks with this colorway. And that's the Mauve Madness. And then I have Corriedale. That was Polldale, by the way. This is a Corriedale sock yarn. And this is one of my clean-up colorways. I call them chaotic good. I play D&D, and that's where I get the chaotic good from. And this is just what leftovers. So the colors change from time to time. So that's why I call it chaotic good. I have 3 skeins of that, and that's the only 3 skeins I'll ever make that look like that. And we have, talking about Arctic Spring, I have a colorway called Arctic Spring. And I, of course, am not going to use this colorway in the Arctic Spring box. That would be boring. But this colorway is called Arctic Spring. And this is on Polldale sock. I have, I don't know if you remember, last podcast I showed you a colorway called Stonewashed Denim. I was trying to dye up the same colorway on my extremely soft worsted. As you can see, this colorway looks, there's some browns in here, because no two bases take the dye the same way. And when I dyed it on the worsted, it kind of broke a bit on me, so there are brown spots here. And I couldn't call this stone wash denim because of it doesn't look exactly like it's supposed to. And then my husband had a really good idea, because he thought it looked like dirty jeans. So he wanted me to call them Gold Rush denim. So this batch is Gold Rush denim. I might not make this again, but I wanted to give it a name, so I'm going with hubby's Gold Rush denim. And I have 3 of those on worsted. So if you want this, this will make a beautiful hat. And maybe I'm a bit traditional here, but I would say this would make a great hat for a man. Sorry. But I really like it, even though it didn't turn out exactly like it should. And this colorway is, this is my antique gold. And this is on sport. I have a few skeins of sport weight in the shop as well. And I dyed up 3 skeins of antique gold on sport. And I have, and as I was saying, I wear this sweater for a reason, because I have dyed up some, this colorway is called Dark Jewels, and I have dyed up some for the shop. As you can tell, this colorway has changed a bit, because there are more brown tones in the original. But I have tweaked it a bit since I started making it, and now it's more of a dark grey without any browns in it. But the speckles are the same as on my sweater, the one I'm wearing. And why am I all blurry? There we go. So, and this I have in a sweater quantity. I'm putting 4 skeins in the shop on Sunday. And if you want all 4 skeins for a sweater, you better be quick. I can't guarantee you that I'll have 4 skeins if you're not, if you don't show up in the shop on Sunday at 8 p.m. But this is one of my pre-order colorways, so you can order as many skeins as you want in this colorway. And I have, and now I have 2 new colorways. I have a colorway that I was testing out a new color, and it didn't turn out like I wanted it to. It looked like cookies, and I thought, it's a nice color. What happens if I put some brown spots on it, brown speckles? And you can probably tell what this colorway is called. This colorway is called Chocolate Chip Cookies. And I really like it. It's not my color palette, so I probably won't knit myself a sweater with this color, but I might knit myself a hat with it. But this is on my Merino DK, and I have 3 skeins going into the shop on Sunday. And again, if you want all 3 of them, you better show up on Sunday at 8 p.m. And the other new colorway I have, and this is also dyed up on 4 skeins, so there's enough for a sweater if you want it. And this colorway is deep red. And this I might knit a sweater for myself in, because I really love red, and it's a color that looks good on me. And this colorway is called Grenadine, because it has the same red color as pomegranate. So this colorway is called Grenadine. And as I was saying, 4 skeins going into the shop on Sunday evening. And that's it for the shop update. And as I was saying, my Arctic seasons will go into the shop on next week. I'm not sure what day yet. I'm going to do some research, and figure out how much this will cost me in shipping and everything, so I can put a fair price on it. And that's about it. Hubby has a short work day today, and I have to go shopping when he gets back, so not a really long podcast today. But I've told you what I wanted to tell you, and next week I will hopefully have at least one pair of socks done, so I can show you. I probably at least have one new project on the needles, because I'm terrible like that. My pile of whips is only growing. I haven't got any New Year's resolutions when it comes to whips, because I know myself too well. I know that for everything I finish, I tend to cast on 2 things. So my pile of whips is only growing. I would love to have that Gardengate sweater finished before we go to England at the end of February. So I might knit a lot on that. So hopefully I can get that done before the end of February. I think I'll just stop here before I ramble on too much. And I'll see you all next Friday for episode 18. Goodbye.